One of the secrets to exposure for your business lies within supporting Black businesses and entrepreneurs. And that is why the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce is here, to connect Black businesses from the desert to the sea. Let's join hands to empower and sustain our community. By becoming a member of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, you can grow your business and increase your clientele. With our innovation, we'll generate new businesses and get new customers. And we'll connect new mindsets with businesses from across Southern California to help bridge the wealth gap. Let's connect, build, and grow together. Join us now at blackchamberofcommerce.org.
And welcome to MyTueSense. I am your host, Debra Mcglothurn, and this is my podcast, MyTueSense. A little bit about myself, and I kind of hesitate when I go to talk about myself. That's why I usually read it, because it's like, what do you want to know about me? What should you know about me? Well, one thing you know about me is that I'm a mother. I have 5 children, 3 boys, 2 girls, and they're range from the ages of 25 to 42, I think. 42, yes. Or about to be 42 this year. And I have a master's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, and my kids have given me degrees that you'll never see on the wall. They're all spaced out. I've experienced some different things in life. I've lived in the South, I've lived in the East, and right now I'm living in the West. But I have a lot of experiences behind me. I have a lot of challenges and things that I've gone through in my life. I have a positive, optimistic outlook on life, and I have some things that I want to talk about. I have some things that I want to share. And then that's when we get to my 2 cents. And what is my 2 cents? My 2 cents is just me talking about topics that I believe are important, things that we may need to consider, things that we need to be reminded. In a phrase, I say that my 2 cents is exposure is what? Motivation through exposure. Duh. Motivation through exposure, but it's more so not necessarily just exposure, but just reminding you about things that you already know, things that you've already experienced, things that you've already realized in life. But sometimes we forget and we need to be reminded. And that's what I am here with my 2 cents. So I share my 2 cents. Hopefully you share your 2 cents, and together we'll make some sense and make some minute changes in our lives and in the lives of the people around us. And with that being said, if you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss on my 2 cents, anything that you would like me to share my 2 cents about, just send me an email, send me a text message, leave a comment on this video, or you can email. The email address is going across the screen, my2cents@gmail.com. And also you can find me at My 2 Cents on YouTube as well. So if you want to reach out in any kind of way, in any of those ways, just reach out for any topic that you might want me to discuss. If you like to be a guest on the show, same thing. Reach out to me at my2cents@gmail, comment on one of the videos. However, you can get in touch with me. That's a little bit about me, and that's a little bit about the organization of the show, at least the conversation on the show. Sometimes I'll discuss current events, but not so much current events as far as the news and what's going on in politics and all that, but I'll touch on it every now and then. But it's just more so on conversation topics that I feel that are lost or forgotten, or, just need to be reminded. So with that, all of that, being said, the topic for today is, drum roll please, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're right here with my 2 cents, and we'll talk about it when we come back from this commercial break.
Business owners are raving about the new talk show, Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace. Tune in as the top experts in business share their success stories, strategies, guidance, and advice to help you grow your business. With guests from the top companies to your favorite influencers, Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace is the show to watch for all things business. Our conversations are strictly business. We discuss new funding options, new business initiatives, best business practices, all things business explained. We provide you with the tips you need for your business, all in one morning business talk show. Be sure to tune in. Are you a business owner? Do you have a story to share? Are you able to help our audience? Then we want you on Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace. Visit the website at edgetvnetwork.net and select Be a Guest to schedule your appearance today.
The topic for the day is you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're right here with my 2 cents, exactly where you're supposed to be. I also wanted to mention, I didn't mention it before, but if you also want to be one of the commercial breaks on my 2 cents, you can reach out to me as well so you can get rates on how you can do that. But my 2cents at gmail.com. You can also reach out at the blackchamberofcommerce.org and be on our commercial, be one of the commercial breaks. But anyway, back to the topic. You are exactly where you're supposed to be because you are exactly where you're supposed to be. But often we are asking ourselves, we're questioning ourselves what it is that we are supposed to be doing with our lives. Where are we supposed to be in life? Questioning yourself is one of the first steps to realizing you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And let me explain why I say that. Of course, we may not be where we want to be. We may not have accomplished everything that we want to accomplish. And maybe we didn't see ourselves in the position that we're in today. Maybe we're disappointed with the lack of reaching the goals that we set out for ourselves. But regardless of where we are and where we find ourselves, we are there for a reason. And this doesn't mean that this is as far as that you'll make it or as high as that you'll obtain, or you're supposed to be single or your relationship is a mess, that it's going to remain that way. Where we are today is an indication of a couple of things. One, we have not done what we needed to do to obtain what we wanted. Two, there is a lesson we need to learn before we make that big lottery win. And three, we aren't completely ready for what it is that we're looking for. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow for us to realize that we haven't done everything that we need to do, or we need to check ourselves. We need to look at what it is we are doing, or what it is we haven't done. It requires us to take a look at what we're doing and what we aren't doing, what we've done and what we haven't done. And sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow to do that. Sometimes it's difficult for us to do that. Sometimes people are telling us that and we're not listening. Maybe because it's coming from the wrong person. Maybe because it's coming from somebody that, has other ulterior motives or whatever. But if you're asking yourself that question, you're doing it for a good reason. So I have a weight journey, and I shared that with you guys before. I wanted to get to 145 pounds. And I just wanted to be there, right, at 145 pounds. And I was probably 125 pounds after I had lost some weight, and I had a goal of 145 pounds, and I just found myself not reaching that goal. Barely edging up, but as soon as I take 2 steps forward, then I take 2 steps back. And it's like, I'm not making any progress. until I start noticing progress. It's like when I see that I'm not making progress, it puts something in my brain to tell me, okay, you need to do this. And I know for me, I'm one of those people that if I'm not active, I'm losing weight. If I am active, I'm gaining weight because it's muscle weight. And the way that I eat, I'm, big on meats and fruits and vegetables, a little meat, because I'm 95% vegetarian. But when I was trying to get to my weight, 145 pounds, and I just couldn't get there. I would miss it by 2 pounds, or I get a few ounces shy of it, and then I lose 3 pounds. The weight journey is up and down, and it's a daily thing. If you look at your goal and your goal is consistent and consistently, you're not there, but you're moving steadily to get there. You're inching there. You're closer than you were yesterday, or you were last week, or you were last month. Just understand that you are making progress, and you shouldn't be badgering yourself about it. You shouldn't look bad on it. You should pat yourself on the back because you're getting closer to your goal. You're getting closer to your goal. Now, as far as me with my weight loss, it's crazy because I looked at the scale a couple of weeks ago, and I was at 142.4, right? And when you're trying to get to a certain thing, those points matter too, right? And I'm like, man, I'm almost at 143. Just because it's over 142, right? So next is 143. But I had made my goal of 145 pounds months ago. I did make the goal. But the thing about weight fluctuation, that it's up and down on a daily basis. I looked at the scale a couple days ago and I was 148 pounds. That is not where I want to be. That is beyond where I want to be. Then it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want that much. Let's stay at 145. But when you realize that when you set goals, and especially something as weight fluctuation, it's going to go up and down on a daily basis. So even though I was at 148, if I'm looking at that and I'm frustrated or I'm irritated or I'm aggravated and I'm down on myself because, man, I didn't want to get up that much because I'm gaining weight, but I don't want to gain that much weight. I want to stay at 145, right? But understanding the reality of that, there's no way I'm going to maintain it. If I was driving a car and I was trying to maintain at 70 miles per hour, even if I put it on cruise control, do you know that's still going to be fluctuating? Even though I'm still trying to stay at 70 miles an hour, it's going to fluctuate. And why does it fluctuate? Because a number of different things are going on. And we'll put that analogy on it into it a little further into the conversation. But I got on the scale a couple of days ago and I was like, now, it made me question, okay, what do I need to do? Not even question, because then I automatically knew what I needed to do. Because although I gain weight by doing work, I can also gain weight by not doing enough because of my appetite, because of my diet and the way that I'm eating. So I felt like I'm eating fine, and I had a lot of carbs the day before because I decided I wanted some green beans and potatoes. And along with that, I was making some cornbread. And then along with that, I was making some corn. And then I was making the steak with these bell peppers. And I just had to have some rice to go with that. So I've got the cornbread, I've got the corn, I've got the the rice, I got the potatoes, all of this starch on my plate. So I was like, that's where I get the 148 pounds from. But I didn't stress about that. It didn't frustrate me to the point where I was down or I was irritated or I was flustered. And I didn't panic because I knew that I just needed to make a few adjustments to get back down to my 145. And the way that the weight fluctuates on a daily basis anyway, I could have not done anything major and saw a difference the next day just because it fluctuates on a daily basis. But what I thought about is, okay, I need to put in some work to tighten that back down to 145. So today I got on the scale, and this is what triggered this thought in my head. I got on the scale today. So accomplished in getting that 145 exactly where I wanted to be. And then it dawned on me too that I am where I want to be. And even when I was at 148 a couple days ago, I was still where I wanted to be, just with a few adjustments, which meant I just needed to tweak it a little bit to get back to that, right? Moving down the road, you know what I'm saying? And the speed is changing a little bit. The weight is changing a little bit. It wasn't that I had to do anything major. It wasn't that anything crazy was going on. It's just a matter of maintaining. And it's going to go up and it's going to go down. It's going to be up and down. Your sales, they're going to be up and down. And as long as you have an average of where you want to be, because even if I was saying 142, 148, what's the average of that? What? 145? No, 145. It's 145. So I'm still there. It's like I'm still there. But a lot of times we don't realize it just because we have a specific thing that we're looking for. And this is what we want to do. And this is where we want to be. Understanding that some days it'll be more, some days it'll be less. But as long as you're inching toward it, or as long as we're maintaining, we're exactly. That life fluctuates just like our weight does. And we make adjustments along the way. And we're going to talk about that more when we come back from this commercial break.
Good news for the Southern California business community. Now you can add your business to the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce Business Directory complimentary. We have been working tirelessly to build a list of Black-owned enterprises in Southern California. This is an excellent way for you to be a part of an expansive network and find your ideal customers, business partners, and vendors. So don't waste time. Visit blackchamberofcommerce.org today and add your business today.
If you're just joining us, the topic of the conversation today is you are exactly where you are supposed to be. So I was saying that life fluctuates just like our weight. So we just have to make adjustments along the way. Life is not a destination because you're living it, right? And each day you're living, you have an opportunity to enjoy it, to embrace it, to redirect it. And no matter how many goals that you reach, you have more goals to set. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you've accomplished. If you've smashed those goals, now what happens? Right? You're making new goals, or you're learning how to maintain that. When you start the new business that you were so excited, you really wanted to start, now you have to learn how to run that business, how to handle employees, how to deal with inventory and scheduling, how to maintain consistency in your recipe that you've gotten on the market and that you've gotten out there, and you've opened up this restaurant, but you can't do it all by yourself. You have to show somebody else how to do it, right? because you can't do it all by yourself. When you make the money that you wanted to make and you feel like you've made it here, you're trying to find ways of keeping that money. You're trying to find ways of investing that money. So it's never a matter of you've made it, you're here, you've reached that point, and now you can stop. There's no stopping. As long as you're continuing to live, you're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to make adjustments. You're going to continue to tweak whatever it is that you're doing. You found that man, you found that woman, and you guys are going to work this out. It's going to be love and happy ever after, right? But there's more to it than that. You got to work at that. The more you get to know a person, the more that you learn them, the more that they learn you. And the more that you learn that, okay, we got to work on some things. There's always some things to work on. Now you have to learn how to maintain that relationship, how to nourish it, how to grow the relationship. Because as long as you are in a relationship, or as long as you live, there's something that you need to make adjustments to. There's life that you're living, you're going to make adjustments to. There's things that fluctuate, and you just have to make adjustments. So if you approach life as if you're driving down the freeway, and that's why we're talking before, I was going to bring that analogy back. You're driving down the freeway, you're always paying attention to what's going on around you. So if it's pouring down rain outside, what are you going to do? You're going to make adjustments. You're going to turn the lights on. You're going to turn the windshield wipers on. You're going to pay attention to what's going on around you, beside you, in front of you, behind you. Because what? People drive crazy in the rain. Some people don't know how to drive in the rain. But even if it's not raining, you have to make those adjustments when the traffic is stop and go. You're not going to be accelerating like oh, wait a second, I got something popping up on the screen. You're not going to be accelerating like it's not stop and go. You're going to let off the accelerator, maybe even tap on the brakes, because you can't just keep flying like there's not traffic in front of you. You have to make those adjustments. And when it's all good and it's all happy-go-lucky, enjoy that. Turn the music on, do your little party breaks in the car or whatever it is. Enjoy the sunshine, cleaning house, whatever it is. Enjoy those moments where you have nothing weighing down your brain, where you can just absorb it and embrace it and enjoy it. But when you ask yourself the question, where am I? Am I where I'm supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And you find that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, it's because of a couple of things. You're maintaining. Now, if you're an overthinker, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You already know that, because every scenario that you put through your head, every rabbit hole that you go down, you come back and you realize the things that you're doing, the way that you responded, the things that you did was right. You were right. You were right. And if you go through it 100 times, you go through that scenario 100 times in your head, you keep coming back to, I did what I was supposed to do. I said what I was supposed to say. I expressed what I needed to say, because you're overthinking. But if you're not an overthinker and you're trying to consider, what am I doing in life? What am I supposed to be doing? Where am I supposed to be right now? If you question yourself and you find yourself tweaking whatever it is, that's because that's what you needed to do. You thought about that. It put in your mind to, okay, let me think about what I need to be doing. Do I need to? Oh, you know what? I should add another item on the menu, or I should allow relieve some of the duties, give it to somebody else, right? Do some delegating. Learn that as long as you're continuing to do whatever it is that you're doing, you're continuing to grow, whatever it is. The process is you're continuing to tweak your efforts. You're continuing to modify your focus and your goals, because daily, just as the weight fluctuates on a daily basis, everything else in life is fluctuating. It changes. In real estate, they talk about having a seller that's motivated. Their motivation changes. Okay, I got a new job over in Texas and I need to be out there. I need to go, but I can't buy that house until this house sells. Their motivation may have changed today because of this job offer that they need to get over to, that they're only going to hold for X amount of time, right? So when their motivation changed, their willingness to accept less than what they asked for may have changed. The different terms that they were looking for. In life, things fluctuate. How many times have you, just for example, in the dating scene, a guy, how many times have you had a woman that you saw that you wanted to go out with? How many times did you ask her before she finally said yes? You may have asked her 3-4 times, and then finally she agrees to go out with you. Well, because maybe something changed for her. Maybe she saw you a little different. Maybe she thought when you first met that you were creepy. But she learned more. She saw more of you. She saw more of something that she, was interested in you. And she said, okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. Because things fluctuate. Life fluctuates, your weight fluctuates, and you can't be so rigid. Just like with me and 148 pounds. I don't want to be 148 pounds. That's almost 150. I don't want to be 150 pounds. And just understanding that life moves differently. It changes, it fluctuates. Break from a relationship. Just understand you're where you're supposed to be. Because it may have been something in that relationship that you needed to tweak, or they needed to tweak. And maybe you'll get back together. Maybe you won't get back together. But if you do get back together, things will have changed. Some adjustments that had been made, that needed to be made, that could not have been made if you remained together in the friction of whatever it is that you were going through at the time. Just understand sometimes time heals, and it gives you a different perspective of what's going on and what needs to be going on and what you have going on in life. So like I said, if you change the way that you look at the things in your life, and you look at it as if you're driving down a freeway and you have to touch the brakes, get off the accelerator, whatever it is. I know a guy that he's like, he doesn't use the brakes driving down the freeway. And I was like, how can you not use brakes? And then I drove his car one day, and his car, if you take off your foot off the accelerator, it automatically brakes. Well, okay, well, if the car is doing it for you, but you learn those things. And just like in life, and just like in relationships, and just like in business, you learn that this may have worked today, but maybe it won't work tomorrow. Or this didn't work yesterday. And sometimes it's just like I've been doing a lot of sewing. And something I told you, sometimes you have to put things aside. Some projects you need to put them down, get your head right, clear your thinking up, and come back to it with fresh eyes. It's because sometimes it just needs to be, sit down a little bit and just, refreshed, renewed, revived with something else. But when you're looking at yourself and you're looking at yourself on a daily basis, and what I would like for you to do is to consider that if you look at on a weekly basis, maybe put it in your schedule to do it every Tuesday or every Monday or every Thursday or whatever, but take an assessment of where you are, where you want to be, and where you think you should be, and what you should be doing, whatever. So just ask yourself that question: am I where I'm supposed to be? That's kind of make it clear and plain. Am I where I'm supposed to be? So that was part of the reflective questioning. And what I said, I mentioned about the overthinker. If you're an overthinker, how often you find yourself going down that rabbit hole and winding back up and finding yourself that, yeah, I was doing it right. Yeah, okay. I have found myself plenty of times asking myself, well, should I have? Maybe I could have. And then you go through the conversations, you go through the scenarios in your head, and you keep winding up with the same result. Yeah, I did what I was supposed to do. But when you going back to the practical steps, ask yourself, am I where I'm supposed to be? So what you want to do with that is you're going to first consider that question. What am I omitting? What am I not doing that I should be doing? What am I doing that I should not be doing? So you're going to, consider what is it that you're omitting, and then reflect on it, on what you could possibly do different, what you can possibly add to it, how you can possibly tweak that, and then react, tweak it by making the adjustments, or patting yourself on the back because you're understanding that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm where exactly I'm supposed to be. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself of that. Sometimes you have to see, or you have to go through those scenarios in your head again and again to put yourself back on track to, okay, yeah, remind yourself of. I know in motivation, they have to, in sales, they always say you need to remember what your why is. So you have to identify what your why is. And then when you're finding yourself getting off track, you have to remind yourself of your why, right? So back to the practical steps. You want to consider what you may be omitting. You want to reflect on what you could possibly do different. And then you want to react, whether that's to tweak it or to pat yourself on the back and say, I'm doing it right. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, right? A lot of times we see ourselves in life and we're looking at other people and we're seeing what they're doing and where they've gone and how they've gotten there. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of relationships that have come together, whether they've gotten married or whatever, and seemingly happened quickly, only for them to fall apart right behind that. I recently saw this video of this guy they're getting ready to cut the cake, and the guy knocks the top layer of the cake just on the ground, right? It went viral. You guys have probably seen that video. And the woman is standing there like, she didn't utter a word. She didn't mouth any words. She just stood there as if she just realized the big mistake that she made. So when you're looking at other people, don't assume that you know what's going on over there, whether it's good or it's bad. Don't assume that you know what's going on good over there. But in your life, if you're looking at what you're doing, how you're doing, what you need to consider, being your best self. If you're being your best self, that's all you can do. And right now, there may be something that you need to consider. There may be something that you need to tweak. There may be something that you need to just experience, because sometimes grief happens and we have to live in that. I'm a big advocate for sitting in your grief and allowing that to completely go through you, because if you don't get to the other side of it, it's just like in any situation. If you don't deal with it and get to the other side of it, it's coming back. It's going to happen again. If you didn't learn the lesson, you're going to be taught again. You're going to go through that again. And that's what you don't want to do. But understand that sometimes you have to go through things and to be able to realize and see what it is that you need to do, or even to just experience. I had these birds that I had ducks actually. And I know I told you guys about the ducks before, but there is one of these little eggs that hatched in my raised bed garden on the 5th floor. And this one little chick could not get out of the garden bed. All the rest of them were out. And it's like, you can't help him get out because he needs to do it. It's just like helping a butterfly out of a cocoon. They don't need you to help them because they need to build the strength that it takes them to get through it, to get to the other side and to be able to live in the other side of whatever is going on in their life. But if you're dealing with something, just consider what it is that you can do, what it is you should do. If you're already doing that, just realize that you're where you're supposed to be. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes we don't. We either don't realize it, or we sit in it. Now, dealing with your grief and feeling your grief, but don't stay there. You have to continue to live life. And when you realize that life goes on. And it's hard. And when you see people, and yourself, if you've lost a loved one, or if you've had a break, lost a relationship, whatever it was that you had going on, you're strong enough to get to the other side of it. But there may be some things that you need to do to get there. There may be some things that you need to receive. There may be some self-reflecting that you need to do in order for you to get there. Because as long as we're growing, because we don't have all the answers, right? We don't have all the answers. And we've never seen this day before, right? We may have experienced some similar things, but we've never been right here, right now, in this exact position. I've never been this age before, right? And you see things happening to your body, you feel things happening to your body. What else is if you're not gonna keep living, what else is there, right? So if you're not gonna age, you're gonna stop aging. You can do it in real life, but let's see, if you stop aging in real life, you cease to exist, you cease to live, right? But if you stop aging up here, that makes a difference. So you still want to do some of the things that you did, but you want to do it smart. Whenever I try to get my people my age to do some of the things that I want to do some of the activities that I like to be into, a lot of them have reasons that they can't do it or they won't do it. Maybe where they've been an athlete all their lives and they that because they've done all of that. But also, when you continue to move, if you continue to move, it's easier for you to stop moving. It's harder to continue to move. When you're making those adjustments along the way, it's easy to make the adjustments. Just stop at some point and let stuff pile up. It's harder to get rid of all of that. It's harder to deal with all of that. When you have all these things piled up in your head and you're dealing with all of this stuff and you don't know how to deal with it because there's so much, you don't even know where to begin. But as long as you are continuously working toward that, continuously tweaking that, continuously checking yourself for where you are, from where you want to be, from what you're doing, and from what you want to do, and you checking yourself and make sure you stand in alignment. You're keeping at 145. Even if you go up to 148 or down to 142, you're still keeping at 145. And it may not be 145 for you. It may be 150 for you. It may be 200 for you, whatever that is, as far as, weight is concerned. But when you look at that in all aspects of your life, your relationships, some relationships are really bad, in a bad position because you gave up. They gave up. Somebody gave up. And someone was unwilling to move forward, forgive, and keep going in that. Understanding that as long as you're continuously working on whatever relationship you have, whether it's a parent-child relationship, whether it's a sibling relationship, whether it's a friend relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, as long as you're continuing to work at it and they're continuing to work at it, it can get better. You can do better. Whatever business it is that you have, whatever struggles you're having with that, if you're checking yourself, you're going back. It's like even when your goals for your business, you have your goals, but you always have to revisit those goals to make sure they're in alignment with where you are right now. Because it's like making a decision without all the information. When you get more information, you may change your decision. You may change how you feel about this, that, or the other. So anyway, that was the conversation for today. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Because in that, as long as you recognize where you are and you're questioning yourself as far as what you're doing and you're tweaking it along the way, you're always going to be where you want to be, where you need to be, where you're supposed to be. So even if you're dealing with stuff, there's a way to deal with that that's going to be good for you. Like that butterfly just trying to get out of the cocoon, or that chick trying to get out of the egg shell. There is something that takes, it's not easy, but you get stronger the more that you do it. And if you do it, that on somebody else, assuming that it's somebody else's job, somebody else's responsibility, take that responsibility. And that's the biggest way to grow. Accepting responsibility for your actions, for your behaviors, for your thoughts, for your decisions. Accept responsibility for those. And then when you look at where you are versus where you want to be, and at tweaking what you're doing and how you're doing it, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Whether it's learning, whether it's growing, whether it's making the adjustments, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. So again, that was the topic of conversation. So my talents, my 2 cents challenge is question yourself weekly on where you are and where you want to be, so you can make the necessary, albeit minor, adjustments to remain exactly where you're supposed to be. So thank you for joining me again today. This is my 2 cents, where I share my 2 cents. You share your 2 cents, and hopefully together we can make some sense and make minute changes to our lives and to the lives of those people around us. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I will be traveling, but I will be here. I will still be with you. Who knows what we'll be talking about? Because I may have a conversation that I want to talk about, and then something may happen that day or the day before or a couple of days before or whatever, and I completely change my conversation because I feel like this is important. So, again, you are where you're supposed to be, right here with me in MyTueSense. And I hope I see you next week, right here with MyTueSense. Thank you.
One of the secrets to exposure for your business lies within supporting Black businesses and entrepreneurs. And that is why the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce is here to connect Black businesses from the desert to the sea. Let's join hands to empower and sustain our community. By becoming a member of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, you can grow your business and increase your clientele. With our innovation, we'll generate new businesses and get new customers. And we'll connect new mindsets with businesses from across Southern California to help bridge the wealth gap. Let's connect, build, and grow together. Join us now at blackchamberofcommerce.org.